What's up, everyone? Just a quick note. There's some amazing value coming up in this episode, but I am getting over some really bad allergies. Not sure if you can hear it in my voice or not. I tried to keep the energy level as high as possible, but if it's not exactly where it normally is, just know the allergies sometimes can kick your butt. So don't let that stop you from getting all the value in today's episode.
Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
What's up, podcast family? Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 414. I'm Phil Graham. Today, we're going to be talking about what some Facebook and Instagram ad experts are doing differently in 2025. So I've got a question for you. Are you either struggling with your Facebook and Instagram ads, or maybe you're just looking for ways to improve and take them to the next level? Well, this episode is for you, my friends. Now, before diving into all the content, I want to be real clear. This isn't the only way to succeed. In fact, no strategy, including this one, will ever guarantee success. There's always exceptions, there's always variables. That's completely normal, but something that the idiot scammers that are out there trying to screw you will never tell you. So, that being said, these are some of the current things that many ad experts are doing differently here in early 2025. I guess it's still kind of early, mid-April, compared to most advertisers. And again, while there's no magic formula, I believe that some of this stuff is really a big part of our secret sauce. So I'm really excited to share it with you guys today because it can be really powerful. Now, this episode is coming out today, and it's tax day here in the US, April 15th. Not the most fun day in the world. I know taxes can be frustrating, but I also appreciate them as well because before I started my own business, long ago, I was in a Fortune 500 company. And these days, I pay more in taxes than I made as a salary working for that Fortune 500 company. And I never knew that was going to happen. And so I'm very thankful for that. So I'm thankful, even though it's still super expensive. Taxes are crazy, but I'm still thankful. So I hope you guys are in a great spot. And here's a little pro tip too, by the way. When I first started my business, I wasn't that familiar with taxes because before that I worked for a Fortune 500 company, got a paycheck, etc. And I remember getting my first big tax bill at the end of the year thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't plan for that. So what I recommend you guys do if you are running your own business is to make sure that you take out a percentage, whatever tax bracket you might be in, take that out every single month or put it in a financial program so that you already have that set aside for your taxes. It makes things so much easier. That's something that helped us a lot. But anyway, with that being said, if you guys are looking for some help with your ads, more than the podcast, more than just trying to watch random YouTube videos, much of which are horrible, with bad advice. If you're looking for some one-on-one help, I think that's the best way in the world to learn coaching and consulting. So if you're looking for that, or maybe you don't really want to learn, you just want it done for you. Well, for either of those things, you can go to my website, philgrahamdigital.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I would love to connect with you. So I want to jump right in and keep this episode short, sweet, full of value, and hopefully very actionable for you guys as well. And again, let me preface this by saying there are exceptions to some of these things, but so many of these things are part of our secret sauce, so I highly recommend you test them because they can be pretty amazing. So what are some Facebook and Instagram ad experts doing differently in 2025? Number one, not just relying on Advantage Plus audiences. Now, there are exceptions to this. There's reasons why you might mainly focus on Advantage Plus, but for the most part, I could show you tons of data from many different industries and accounts that we have worked with, as well as others, where I can create segmented audiences based off of interests and behaviors and other things that are very specific and segmented. And I can show you that they have performed sometimes significantly better than Advantage Plus AI audiences. So also, I can show you the opposite, where Advantage Plus performs better than those. It depends on a lot of variables, but just relying on only Advantage Plus and that's it, I believe, is a huge mistake in a lot of situations. You should be testing segmented audiences, and there's a lot of different ways to go about it. And if somebody's not doing this, they might not be an expert. Let me just say that. Again, there's a few exceptions. All right, number 2. This is something that we've done for years, but there's still so many advertisers that don't do this, which is insane to me because it is so important. But when you're running ads, there's a lot of top advertisers and then most that are not, but some of the top ones are leading and focusing on value, like giving value, differentiation, inspiring, educating, and entertaining. Sometimes it's one or two of those things. Other times, if you can, it's all of those things in one ad. That is a powerful combination versus just pure sales pitches. I would also add, in addition to that, empathy. So having empathy for your clients or customers, and really that kind of means not just, you're not feeling bad about them. You're actually, you have empathy about their situation, what they either want to fix or what they want to improve, or the problem that you help them solve. And you're really kind of meeting them there where they're at right now, and then showing them how you can help solve that problem. So having ads that do that versus just pure sales pitch ads, sometimes you're still going to have some sales pitch ads by themselves, but I highly recommend leading with value and education and inspiration, etc. So I think that's a big differentiator between advertisers that are not top advertisers and some of those that are. Number 3, top advertisers are using creatives that typically look very different than what you're normally used to seeing on Facebook and Instagram. And you know why? Because they want to stand out. So if you're typically running ads that kind of look like everything else that's out there, guess what? You're going to blend in and not stand out. It is hard enough as it is to get attention because there's so many posts. There's so many ads, organically and paid. And so if you look like everybody else, there's a good chance you might just get overlooked and not noticed, no matter how good you are, no matter how good your product or service is. So sure, it's normal to have some of your ads that look like, the normal stuff you see, but I see more and more advertisers using creatives that actually look different. This is something that we like to do a lot. Like I like to look at a specific industry that we may be working in for a client, see what everybody else is doing, not so we can do that, but so we can do the complete opposite of that, or at least very opposite as much as possible, and try and stand out. And that's something I see that's trending, that's doing pretty interesting things that I recommend you guys do. Don't just look like everybody else. Be different, stand out. Number 4, I see top advertisers using more UGC style content. So user generated content, using more of that over what I would call like polished and so-called perfect ads. And not just UGC, but also content that the advertiser creates as well, where they might just grab their phone and create a quick little video ad that's not perfect, but it's authentic, it's real. That has a lot of power there versus some perfect polished ad that you can tell probably had like 40 takes and just doesn't seem authentic. Being able to just run ads that aren't perfect, that really connect with people, and also the UGC style is really good too, where you might get a customer or client, or you might pay somebody to make something for you, but you have different types of creatives kind of using that style. That's something that's doing pretty interesting things right now too, and can be really powerful. Number 5, this is something that a lot of advertisers have issues with, more than most. And I've talked about it before, but I need to keep talking about it because it is so important. In fact, I think that a lot of people will fail just because of this if they're not careful. And that is the top advertisers are typically not getting distracted or as distracted by all the BS that is out there. Now, whether that's ad stuff where there's zillions of articles and videos and courses about ads, so many of them are just horrible information from people that don't know what they're doing. But whether it's that or it's like political BS or just anything else where they're just wasting hours and hours and hours on that stuff, and they're not bettering themselves, they're not bettering their business, and it's affecting their mindset, it's affecting their time. I see a lot of top advertisers not going down those rabbit holes and not having that challenge. And nobody's perfect, so they might sometimes get wrapped up in some of that, but typically if they do, they get out of it pretty quick. When you're doing that, does it help your business or does it hurt your business? Just always be asking yourself that question, because I see a lot of people fail because they get distracted by crap that doesn't matter, and or they're consuming crap that actually is hurting their business more than helping. So just be very careful. Number 6, I see a lot of top advertisers leveraging what I would say the growing trend is, which is using Facebook and Instagram ads for building their brand, not just for like direct response by this kind of sales. Now, I'm not talking about you being like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Apple, where you have an unlimited budget to just do brand building. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about, though, is the ability to run an ad that builds your brand, that helps differentiate you, has something where you're building a common bond with your ideal customers and clients, and you can also offer something for sale in that ad. Maybe you're doing a 2-step approach where you're not offering something for sale there, but then you're retargeting and offering something, or you're doing it all in one. But really leveraging Facebook and Instagram for that could make a huge difference, especially with how many people are using those platforms. It's insane. They're growing so much. That's such a great opportunity. So it's not a platform that is only for direct response. Buy this now. There's a lot more to it. And if you're not doing some of that stuff, you might be leaving a lot of opportunities on the table. Again, there's exceptions, but I highly recommend you guys try this out because it's very powerful. And then number 7, I mean, I could probably have 777 things here, but this will be our last one for today's episode. Number 7, I've talked about this one before. I still think it's very prevalent among many advertisers, but I see a lot of top advertisers not turning ads off too fast. Raise your hand if you have turned an ad off within a few days of launching it. And my guess is there's tens of thousands of people raising their hand right now because it is so common. And the reason is you're spending money, you've got emotion involved. And if something doesn't work really fast, sometimes people panic or just take what I would consider bad advice and cut an ad off. That can be a big mistake in many situations. Some of our best performing ads didn't start off that way after a few days. Now, unless you have a huge budget, it's going to take a little bit of time for you to know whether an ad works or not. If you don't have some huge budget, without looking at your exact situation, I would say give it about 2 weeks or so before you touch it. There are exceptions, like I said, so this is more general advice, but I would say people turn things off way too fast, typically way more than they leave them on too long, which you don't want to do that either. You got to really learn all that, but you want to be careful. I would rather let an ad run for a couple weeks And it may be 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks or 2. It may be 7 days if you have a huge budget. So it depends. But I would let it run for a decent amount of time. And I would rather know that it didn't work versus turning it off after 2 or 3 days and still have no clue. Because if I know it didn't work, then I'll know that it didn't work and then I'll figure out why. Then I can do something different to try and fix the situation. But if you turn something off after a day or two, there's a good chance that you might have turned off maybe your best ad ever and you just didn't know it. And now you're going off of incorrect data, incorrect assumptions, and it's a mess. So again, it's hard to really be too specific on this because there's tons of exceptions and variables, but just be careful that you aren't turning ads off too fast because that's a big mistake that I see a lot of people make. So hopefully these tips will help you guys. Test them out. They're super powerful. I believe they're part of our secret sauce. Episode 414 is in the books. Thank you guys so much for being here. We've got another great one coming for you next week. If you want to get in touch, philgrahamdigital.com is the website, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital. I would love to connect with you, and we'll talk to you guys on next week's episode. Have an amazing week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit philgrahamdigital.com/podcast.